Welcome to Smart Updates, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an update. Why are there not more people talking about the rising tensions in the South China Sea, where global powers are drawing lines that could shape the future? The morning sun of November 15, 2025, cast a blinding glare across the West Philippine Sea, painting the waves with gold and fire. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the sea itself sensed the tension brewing on its surface. On board the BRP Andres Bonifacio, Commander Reyes watched the horizon, his eyes narrowed against the glare. Every movement on the water was scrutinized, every shadow a potential threat. Tension hummed through the ship, unspoken but palpable among the crew. Filipino fishing vessels had reported aggressive maneuvers from Chinese Coast Guard ships near Scarborough Shoal, their voices crackling with anxiety over the radio. For years, these fishermen had braved not just the elements, but the looming presence of foreign ships in their own waters. Today, the Philippine Navy was joined by a German frigate, the Baden-Württemberg, a symbol of a new alliance and a rare sight in these contested waters. The partnership was more than military. It was a message to the world. The German vessel confirmed their position over the radio, making this joint patrol a clear statement. International law matters, and the world would not look away. The airwaves buzzed with coordination, every word reinforcing unity. For Filipino sailors, the European warship's presence was both welcome and surreal. Many had never seen such a vessel up close, and its arrival brought a sense of reassurance, as if the world was finally standing with them. The world was watching and acting, drawing a symbolic line in the water that Beijing could not ignore. News cameras captured every maneuver, broadcasting the unfolding drama to a global audience. Tension spiked as a Chinese Coast Guard cutter appeared, larger and more heavily armed than the Philippine ship, moving to intercept Filipino fishing boats. The cutter's engines rumbled, a show of force meant to intimidate. In the past, Filipino crews would have retreated, their livelihoods sacrificed for safety. Today was different. Backed by their Navy and international partners, they held their ground, refusing to be bullied. The German frigate's presence turned a potential confrontation into a geopolitical chess match, each move calculated, every gesture loaded with meaning. The stakes had never been higher. The Chinese vessel slowed, reassessing the situation. For a moment, time seemed to pause, the outcome uncertain. The sight of a European warship sailing with the Philippine Navy represented a strategic shift, a convergence of interests to uphold a rules-based order. It was a powerful reminder that the South China Sea was not just a regional issue, but a global one. This quiet standoff under the tropical sun marked the South China Sea as a front line in a global contest of wills. The line drawn in the water was more than symbolic. It was a promise that the world was watching and would not back down. The South China Sea is a vital maritime highway, one of the busiest and most important in the world. Every year, nearly 1/3 of global shipping passes through its waters, carrying trillions of dollars worth of goods, energy supplies, and raw materials. Whoever controls these waters wields immense economic and strategic power, shaping the fate of nations and global trade. Multiple countries, including the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia, have overlapping claims here, each rooted in history and national pride. But China's sweeping 9-line claim is the most controversial, covering almost the entire sea and sparking international concern. This claim overlaps with the exclusive economic zones of its neighbors, directly challenging international law and the sovereignty of other nations. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, grants coastal nations rights to resources within 200 nautical miles of their shores. China's actions undermine this principle, fueling constant friction, diplomatic protests, and even dangerous encounters at sea. The dispute is about more than maps. It's about oil, gas, and rich fishing grounds that millions depend on for their livelihoods and food security. In recent years, China has built artificial islands, equipped with military facilities, runways, and radar systems, projecting power far from its shores. This militarization has escalated the dispute from fishing rights to a major security challenge, drawing in outside powers and raising the risk of conflict. China's gray zone tactics, harassment and coercion without open conflict, put immense pressure on its neighbors, keeping the region on edge and the world watching closely. For the Philippines, the South China Sea dispute is an existential threat to sovereignty and economic survival. The West Philippine Sea falls within its exclusive economic zone, a right validated by a 2016 international ruling that rejected China's 9-dash line. Despite this legal victory, Chinese vessels routinely swarm disputed areas, blocking Filipino fishermen and using water cannons to drive away supply boats. These actions violate Philippine sovereignty and international law. The economic toll is severe. Fishermen are pushed into poverty, and vital oil and gas resources remain out of reach. Facing overwhelming pressure, the Philippines has sought new alliances, modernizing its military and strengthening ties with the US and other partners. The goal: build a coalition committed to a rules-based order and a free, open South China Sea. The stakes are nothing less than the nation's future. The European Union's interest in the South China Sea is rooted in its commitment to international law and freedom of navigation. The EU has no territorial claims, but nearly 40% of its foreign trade passes through these waters. Any disruption would have catastrophic economic consequences for Europe. The EU's Indo-Pacific strategy calls for a stronger naval presence, not to confront China, but to promote stability and cooperation. France and Germany have led the way, sending warships through the South China Sea to assert navigation rights. These deployments signal to Beijing that its expansive claims are not accepted. The EU aims to act as a global security provider, working with partners to address maritime security and uphold international norms. The South China Sea is a global commons, not a national lake. Its governance is a matter of concern for the entire international community. The Philippines-EU partnership is forged by shared challenges and values, not geography. For Manila, it means diversifying alliances and gaining diplomatic and technical support. For the EU, the Philippines is a frontline partner in defending international law in the Indo-Pacific. High-level visits, like the 2023 trip by EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, have cemented this alignment. The EU has launched programs like Primario to boost Philippine maritime security, providing training and technology for better monitoring. Defense cooperation is growing, with discussions on equipment sales and joint training. This multifaceted approach shows the EU's long-term commitment as a reliable partner. Joint naval activities between the Philippines and EU members are now a regular feature in the South China Sea. European warships have conducted exercises and patrols with the Philippine Navy, building trust and interoperability. These patrols enhance the Philippines' ability to monitor its waters and act as a deterrent to Chinese aggression. The presence of European flags alongside Filipino ones sends a clear message: gray zone tactics are being challenged by a global coalition. Intelligence sharing is another key pillar. Satellite imagery and vessel tracking help the Philippines anticipate and document illegal activities. This collaboration creates a transparent maritime environment, exposing coercive actions to international scrutiny. Assertive transparency uses information as power, raising the political cost for Beijing. The strategy is to counter coercion with facts, not force. By building a global consensus, the Philippines and EU pressure China to respect international norms. Together, they are reshaping the security landscape of the region. The Philippines-EU partnership is deeply rooted in shared economic interests. For the Philippines, securing its exclusive economic zone means access to vital resources, oil, gas, and fisheries that support millions. The EU's support helps protect these livelihoods and ensures food and energy security. For Europe, the South China Sea is a critical trade corridor. Any disruption would threaten global supply chains and economic stability. The EU's naval presence is strategic insurance for its economy. Negotiations for a free trade agreement promise deeper integration and growth. But such progress depends on a foundation of trust and a rules-based order. By working together, both sides are building a more prosperous future. The Philippines-EU partnership faces real challenges. China's overwhelming power and determination to enforce its claims remain the biggest obstacles. The risk of miscalculation at sea is ever present, demanding careful action from all sides. Within the EU, unity is not guaranteed. member states have differing priorities and economic ties to China. Sustaining a consistent EU policy requires ongoing diplomatic effort. For the Philippines, balancing ties with the EU and managing its complex relationship with China is a delicate act. Manila must defend its rights without provoking a direct confrontation. Long-term success depends on institutionalizing cooperation, training, intelligence sharing, and capacity building. The true test is whether this partnership can endure political changes and persistent pressure from Beijing. Only a deep, sustained alliance can secure the region's future. The Philippines-EU partnership offers a renewed sense of hope for the South China Sea's future, where uncertainty has long overshadowed opportunity. This collaboration brings together distant continents, united by a shared vision for peace and stability in these vital waters. It affirms that international law is a binding commitment, not a mere suggestion, and that agreements forged here carry real weight for the region's destiny. This is the start of a strategic convergence. Middle powers and distant partners now actively shaping the security landscape together, forging new alliances and strengthening old ones. Their success could inspire other Southeast Asian nations to build broader networks of support, creating a ripple effect of cooperation and trust across the region. The goal is not to contain China, but to encourage responsible behavior within the international system, fostering dialogue and mutual respect among all stakeholders. A stable maritime order benefits all, including China, by ensuring safe passage, economic growth, and shared prosperity for every nation that relies on these waters. By upholding the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, the Philippines and EU defend a peaceful, prosperous framework for all, setting a global example for maritime governance. The journey will be long and challenging, filled with diplomatic hurdles and evolving threats. But the foundation for partnership is strong and resilient. Through sustained cooperation and unwavering commitment to the rule of law, they are drawing a line in the water, a marker of principle, not conflict, that stands for justice and order. This line defends the rights of all nations and signals a new era of maritime peace and security where hope and collaboration chart the course for generations to come.